Welcome to the Stephenson County, Illinois Finance Committee meeting circa January 12th, 2024. And we will get started with the call order for the meeting. And I will go ahead and pray. Pray. Lord God Almighty, thank you for this opportunity. I pray that we get through items quickly today with the weather outside, and that you would just help us be wise and discerning on the business that we represent towards the people of Stephenson County. So please help us. In Jesus' name, amen. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Either one.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review and approval of meeting minutes from December 18th, 2023. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion approved. Second.
Mr. Copeland, I'm going to give Jovers the second on that one.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of claims. I have claims in the amount of cash requirements $29,811.06. Manuals $1,095,712.27 for a total of $1,125,523.33. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Jogurst.
Second.
Second by Mr. Copeland. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4. Let's see here. Public comment. Seeing no one from the public, I think we'll run through that. Reports to committee, Diamond Brothers. Carrie's going to be here in March. I had an exchange with her. Nothing new to report. The transition's gone well to the new plans. She will have updates on claims and things of that nature in the March meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none. County Administrator, you have the floor, ma'am.
All right. On Monday, Chairman Helms and I met with the city for our monthly city-county meeting. Discussion topics were the changes and final draft of the IGA that's before us today. We also talked about some possible collaborations with a few of the departments between the city and the county to see if there's any efficiencies we can get with that. Next Greater Freeport partnership meeting is not until the 24th, so I will update after that meeting. Just to kind of piggyback on what Ms. Schultz-Winters presented Monday at Planning and Development. They are holding a strategic planning session shortly after ours with the same person who the city and the county are holding their strategic planning sessions with. And they're still working to align their missions closer to what the city and county need from that organization. The department head meeting this week, audit updates were given. We talked about the January 1st wage change sheets being done. Just reminding them, get those end of the year things closed out on their end. We did talk about the personnel policy and that slight change that we made prior to January 1st for being in compliance with the Paid Leave for All Workers Act. I think I may have mentioned this before. IFMK is doing a thorough review of our personnel policy and sending the updates as they're going through it. So administration committee and then the board will be seeing that coming up with the updates they're recommending. Between Chairman Helms and Nate Louie, we have our OWL up and running for committee committee meetings. It has been going very well.
See, if I look just right, it's got black hair too. I don't think Scott got that.
Yeah, so far very positive feedback.
Yeah, good, working good
on it. So let's see. The new Department of Labor posters were sent out to all of the department heads for them to update. I've been involved, as well as Ms. Baker, on the last 2 weeks of the weekly operations call meeting with TCM and the nursing center. Adrian, our new interim administrator, has scheduled a walkthrough with Mark Bell from Reliability and is starting to put, she calls them binders for each department that should be readily available when and if IDPH walks in the door. Everything they need should be in those binders. So she is working with liability and also has a safety committee meeting scheduled and some other projects she is working on. I did sit in on the legislative update webinar and paid leave webinar that were scheduled this week. And yesterday I went to the first CMA group meeting that is the first in-person meeting our Northern Illinois region has had since before COVID. So that was nice to get together with my professional organization again. Walked in and saw Mr. Whalen.
Like having lunch with our robotics guy before a meeting.
So that is all I have. Do you have any questions?
Got one, Chairman. On that binder thing for the nursing home, is that a new binder that they were putting out, or was it an updated version?
More updates because Adrian said that the versions were 2019, like some of the updates were not included in those binders. So that has been one thing she's been working with liability real closely on.
That's what I was thinking, they should be out there already, right? So, okay,
She's finding a lot of things that
Okay.
we were being told were being done,
they
were
were,
not being done.
okay. That's kind of where I was curious about that one. Okay, thank you.
All right, no questions? Thank you much. I wanted to apologize to Mr. Bush too. It took me too long to clear out the driveway and I did not get the pot of coffee.
Hey, that's all right, that's all right,
Sorry, man.
I apologize for being late. I apologize for being late. Been up since 4:00 this morning.
Oh, yeah. I get you. Okay, let's see. Madam Finance Director sent me a report, which I have. She basically, you want to read it or you want me to?
Up to you.
Well, go ahead.
She said the US Treasury is putting on quite a few webinars right now regarding ARPA. She's been involved in 3 in the last month, took part in one on the 10th, which addressed overview of reporting responsibilities, the reporting portal and maintenance compliance. Our yearly report is due April 30th. Luckily, with taking the standard allowance, which is only allowed for those that received under 10 million, which includes our county, our requirements for the reporting is a lot more flexible than others. Year end, she's very happy to report that we have finally rolled into 2024. The last week or so has been a complete headache with our financial software between Treasurer's office and our office. There was an issue with how to roll over the finances. So she's been on the phone with them a number of times, as well as the Treasurer's office last week, but that finally was resolved late yesterday. So that there's still a few little glitches, but we are moving forward with those processes and should have those wrapped up in the next few days. Audit update, the year-end roadblocks, audit portal has been kind of pushed to the side, but we should be, some departments have been gathering the information and hopefully in the next week, the preliminary field work is still set to begin February.
All right. Any questions on that? Thoughts? Comments? Okay. We'll move on. Treasurer's report. Stephanie giving a report to the administration committee. And there's, I didn't really see anything that stuck out on it. I think she forwarded that to everybody, so please review that at your leisure. And we will keep moving on. Let's see, old business, seeing none, new business. Approval of intergovernmental agreement with the city of Freeport. Mr. Collins, would you like to comment on that, please?
Absolutely. So these were both German Valley and Freeport. I had the city of Freeport construct these and I'd given them parameters that I wanted to see. We did make a few edits. Most were just technical regarding they wanted to be reimbursed in 15 days. I changed that to 45 days based on our claim cycle. They had a couple of comments in there when they referenced the $500,000 where they put at least $500,000. I had them strike that. I think that was basically it. But again, this is a reimbursement. So they will be the lead agency, just like German Valley will be. They will go through all of the legal letting, any requirements. We are not a party to that. And I wanted to make sure that we were not. German Valley actually had us listed as an additional insured from the contractors. I had them strike that because again, we are not part of the project. We are simply reimbursing
Helping to fund it.
for the costs. So what you have before you is pretty boilerplate, basic. I'm good with it. I hope everyone
State's
else
attorney was
is.
good with it.
Yep, we reviewed both of them.
So move.
I have a motion by Mr. Bush. Is it
Second.
moved to approve both of them? Mr.
Now let's
Bush?
do them individually.
We do them individually. Okay. So we got the intergovernmental agreement with the city of Freeport. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just
Hearing
one
none.
other thing I will say, the $500,000 will go for Locust Street in Freeport.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it's from Main Street to the north to South Street to the south.
Why Locust?
That is the street that they need the most work done on, according to them.
Wow.
And it was one of those things when I told them that I didn't want to be part of the project. You know, do we want to dictate which of the 8 districts in the city of Freeport get it and which don't? Or we let them decide what's the greatest need?
Did they just receive some type of grant or
I have no
funding for
idea,
that, for the street project,
no idea.
400K or something like that?
I talked to Darren from Fair Graham. So the city's throwing in 50,000 for the Locust project, if I'm right. And, a lot of those streets need water projects underneath
Yeah, I
them.
agree,
So-
yeah.
And the most traveled street probably is Locust. I think that's what they get bang for their buck on that. But I know Iroquois is terrible, my street's terrible. So,
Lots of potholes.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. My wife actually broke a tire, but that was on Stephenson at the four-way stop. She got over too far to the right coming into town and it hit the
Yeah.
pothole just right and popped the tire.
Is that county or is that?
That's a city.
City street
It's still
there.
city.
Did they reimburse you for that?
No, I just called and said, hey, you need to fix that. It wasn't a big deal. I took it, hers, is new enough, it was still under warranty or whatever, so I just took it over. We had to take it to Rockford. I got the, temp put on and drove it to Rockford that day and got it fixed over at, the Honda place. So, but no, I called the lady and said something about it. But, the gal that does the coordinating for, the roads, and she said, oh, I'll get somebody out there right away, and I still don't think it's been built yet. Anyway, here's what it is. So we have a motion and a second. Do we need we do a voice vote?
Voice votes.
Voice vote. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that will move on to the county board for approval. And I would entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with German Valley.
so moved.
So moved by Mr. Frick,
Second.
second by Mr. Bush. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I would
Okay.
make one comment. I was glad to see in the German Valley one that they put a drop dead date of November of 24 to get that done. So they're not,
They're not dilly-dallying. That is good.
I'm sure you're happy about that.
I'm open.
Okay,
We need it done. I mean, that part of the
that's
project
not what
can
I'm
be done.
asking if you're happy about.
Happy about the date?
You know what it says, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm not gonna, let's move on.
Chair reports, I will only say 2 things. One, I felt like everything went really pretty well last year financially for the county in terms of the audit process and the whole thing. I'm glad to have a year under my belt doing this, so I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Combs, to take this role on and continue. But the other thing I provided, and Mr. Bush, I don't think you were here, Ms. Baker, this is an informational item. These 2 sheets that I set in front of everybody. I had a discussion with Mr. Filippo last night, for those that were in the nursing home committee meeting on their, the outstanding AR, which again is a big concern to me. And he can tell me all he wants that this is normal, but it doesn't make sense to me. I've talked to many other administrators at other nursing homes, and they tell me typically 90 to 120 days they're getting their money. But for some reason, we are not. And so he mentioned last night that there was a discrepancy in the April and before. There was some leftover stuff that Matrix was still counting that I took out of the actual equation in there. But if you look at from April and before, there's still almost $400,000 in uncollected revenue. He's saying that's still 95% collectible. I'm sorry, I don't believe him. But if you divide that out by 4 months, January, February, March, April, that comes out to about 98,000 apiece. And my point, just looking at this, we've been hearing how profitable this thing is the whole time. And if you go to the second sheet that I gave you, the little spreadsheet, that shows you what the profit on their P&L was. Okay, it was, January, they projected 92,953 based on the accrued revenue that they billed out. But the revenue that they hadn't collected yet from that time frame, again, I don't know if January specific was 98. I just took that number and divided it by 4. But if you look over that time, really, there's only 1 month, May of 23, that we were in the black with collected revenue. Again, he's going to argue it's still collectible, and maybe it is, but we're not seeing it so far. So to me, that's a concern to say that we're running in the black, and really, in reality, we're not, because we're not collecting more than we're paying out. Now, the other point I wanted to make with this, if you see the rate change, that little note, one of the main reasons I was trying to push to consider removing them last month was because the affordability factor of this, especially now that we have a highly paid administrator in interim or whatever, the profitability is going to go down unless that body people count gets up, like Mike said, 60 is what they really need to start operating on a profitable basis. Because that rate went from 385 down to 320 something. You calculate that out, that's almost $500,000 over a year per bed per day. Okay, that's a lot of money. So that's why you see the profit trend going down, along with the fact that we continue to lose. We were back up to 41, I guess, in terms of the people that are out there. But again, this is an FYI. I'm not trying to say we need to take action on this or anything. This was what I was concerned about in the financials of that place last month. And so Mike was talking about trying to pull from their stipend or their cash, their $500,000 abatement or whatever, not abatement.
He's talking about doing an
Levy.
advance on the real estate levy.
Advance on the real estate levy. And I'm like, look, if you just collected the money that we are supposed to be getting, we are in the black. We don't have, if you take.
They do that in last year though.
They got it early last year.
Well, that's the same thing though, Kurt, why I didn't support giving them $200,000 for an HVAC. If we get the money that's just there,
Right.
we have plenty of money for an HVAC. We have plenty of money to operate. But for some reason, we still aren't collecting what we're billing. And so just take that under advisement. I'm not saying another word about it. I just wanted you guys, this has been on my brain ever since I started this gig. And part of why I think we have a hard time justifying keeping that place going. What's that?
The advance on the levy that was a year ago that I did right after I took over was to pay back the interfund loan, which had to be done by the end of
Yeah, that's
December per what we told, well, not what I told, what Bill Hadley told to the other 9 taxing bodies that are within that TIF, that we promised it would be put back, and that's their tax dollars. That was the only reason why we did that advance on the levy, keep our word.
Sure.
So, the other thing I know that, Mr. Bush brought up the idea of a referendum. And in principle, I love that idea, but in theory or in practice, I question how many people are really gonna be engaged enough to understand what's really going on with this thing and how it operates, how we try and manage it, what the issues have been over the years, the liability concerns. It's one thing to put a statement out there and say, hey, should we have a nursing home? Well, yeah, who doesn't, I'm just saying, who doesn't want one of those? It's a good thing to try and take care of old people. I'm all for that. But when it comes to managing the thing, we don't have the best track record as a county. I don't know how we get that across to people in just a statement or a referendum. So that's why I have a difficult time with that.
Well, I
Just in
think one
practice.
way of doing it is by doing town hall meetings and doing an overall.
That's true. We could try and do something like that.
Discussion about the operation of the nursing home. And that's the reason why I mentioned about putting this on the agenda for next month. We have to, from March till October.
Yeah.
To really get this information out. And it gotta come from a more of a neutral group of people
Mhm.
doing it. instead
How
of.
do you find that though,
Yeah.
Ronnie? That's the problem.
That's
I mean,
that's a
last
good
night-
question. That's a good question. That's a good
Last
question.
night I was called ignorant. I was told I
And you know
didn't
what?
I'm doing, and right.
And
So,
let me say this, I mean, when I brought the issue up, it had nothing to do with them and nothing like that.
I got you.
I do get a little upset that it's okay to have people that have opinion,
Sure.
but don't come attacking nobody,
Yeah.
expecting you to go along with what they say.
Yeah,
I'm not for that. I'm not for that.
I agree, 100%.
But I just think that the referendum probably be the final decision what we should do with this nursing home.
Mm.
Because we're gonna keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
I got you.
Tim?
Yeah.
But is that referendum tied to a resolution about the quality of care there? About the money at a certain point in time has to be there at the end point? You do that every year, you examine that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
read what you put on there. That was an interesting take on it, Kurt. He put together a statement that said, you have to be at a certain level of cash in the bank, or, it's,
Done.
we're gonna cut it loose as part of the referendum. Like, it's gotta operate on a financial basis in the black, right? It's gotta be something that can function on its own. Because it's been such an up and down thing over the years. And that was I hadn't thought about tying it to that to a certain extent. And then it triggers an automatic, we can't obviously handle it.
And also too, I think,
So
are we still doing the strategic planning?
it'd be a good time to talk about it.
That'd be a good time as county board members where we could really sit down and talk about that.
Yes, sir.
And, it's gotta be done by March, a referendum thing?
No,
I think 6 months prior to the election, so April.
yeah.
I don't know how much you really want to talk about this in finance, but I would strongly discourage you to tying it to a level of cash reserves, because that fluctuates. So
Right.
if you trigger, say you're saying it has to have $100,000 in the bank.
At a
positive
given
cash
time.
flow. Okay, 2 days later, it falls below, goes back up. Okay, that's just begging for a lawsuit. The long and the short of this does not cash flow. It's not going to cash flow.
Right.
You're going to have an increase in your levy to support the business. Plain and simple.
Mhm.
So it's not a question, yes, we keep it, no, we don't. It's, do we keep it and increase the levy by X amount?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. We have almost 4 years of non-cash flow
Mhm.
that cannot be ignored.
And I agree with you too, but I think it's a lot more to that. The reason why the nursing home is in the situation we're in.
The only people talking about selling it are the people that come in public comment. I've not heard one county board member talk about selling it. And that's all I hear is, you guys gotta stop talking about selling it. There are people in the public that are purposely putting that out there that say they wanna keep it.
Well, like I said, it's all pieces to that puzzle.
Yeah. There are. We'll continue to discuss that, I'm sure. Mr. Copeland.
I talked to Jasmine and she informed me that the most we could do for a increase in tax levy was 1%, property. And we're at, I think, was it 0.5 or 0.6 right now that we give?
We give them, we're at 0.6 or something.
So if we
You can
increase,
shift levies.
Yeah.
You can cut levies from other places and put it there.
Right.
oh,
That's what's
yeah,
gonna happen.
We've done that before.
I didn't understand that, okay.
Yeah.
And,
What are the that ultimately it gets down to what are the priorities of the county government? Is it something that should be a priority for us? The
Right.
citizens did vote for it back in the day.
That
That was 30 years ago too.
Right.
25 years. Well, and, things have changed. There's a lot more competition for the
Right.
people that are going into those now. You have private care options that, we utilize with my wife's grandma for a time. It's a different market. It's a different situation entirely. So you got to look at all the factors. It's not just the emotional tie to it or the fact that it's been there forever. I get some of the comments we get.
That's one thing I mentioned when we first started the discussion, that there's a lot of other things going on. People are now looking at trying to keep their senior citizens
Yeah.
home.
I'd rather keep them at home if I can.
But also too, that we need to find out a better way of operating in nursing homes instead of doing it the way it had always been done.
Well, in our experience so far with the management company, I'm sorry, but to me, it hasn't been the most positive. A lot of people will say it's been, but I don't see how that works either when they've got to report to us, but yet they want to manage it. That's a difficult proposition to me. But anyway, let's see, that's my report. Administration, Larry.
Basically have one item coming. It is is that going to the full board, the request for the record imaging? There's an RFP going out. It's going to the full board, I believe, here. And then we'll get the bids back, by February 5th. From my understanding, there is a grant that, is pretty substantial and hopefully should cover all of that or most of that, hopefully all of it. And then we'll go from there on that one. And there was a couple other things we're looking at for policy changes that are still in the works. Probably coming down the pipe in another month or so. Other than that, it was fairly quiet. So,
Any questions for Mr. Joggers? Hearing none. Who's next on the list? Nursing center. Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Nicole Baker over side of nursing. But no, you all touched basically about what we talked about. Adrian was her first meeting last night. She's working on a lot of procedures in the binders, like she just said. That's really about it. I see good things coming out.
Okay, great.
Fantastic. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Public property and safety.
Have nothing. We didn't have a meeting yet.
Court services.
Nothing really. We did comment about probation going out for bids for the vehicle, but that was amended to open the bids up in February, wasn't it?
30 days.
30 days, yeah.
Okay.
Then bring it back to the court service and then come to the full board.
That's it. Okay. Planning and development.
I wish I could give you a whole list of things that we're all excited about going and getting going, but right now there's not. We have a few that don't show up in the report from Greater Freeport Partnership, in that we've had a couple of organizations actually ask about available building sites, building that are already in existence that they could potentially use. And that's kind of a signal that somebody's looking a little more than just potential coming to Stephenson County.
Okay.
So I think that that's a very positive thing. I just wish we had more things going, but I
There was
think
some
we,
good interaction with Honeywell too, which I thought was seemed positive. That might draw some more.
and so, yeah, that was a good point too. So I'm just, you have to have that positive push for the future. And I think Greater Freeport Partnership is still working to do that. And I think we need to be.
Yeah, they seem on the ball. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Cool. No one's here from Public Works. Mr. Helms, you got anything from their committee?
I could
Oh,
update.
you
I was there
last.
last night.
Okay.
I guess it was last night, yeah. There was an item to extend an agreement with one of the engineering firms. I think that'll be coming through. That's one that Dale had. And then there was also 3 different code amendments for the rates for the rabies for the cats and rabies for the dogs, and also a rate change for running at large fees when that happens. Trying to close that gap on that budget for the animal control department. So I think those 3 codes will be coming next Thursday. Other than that, I don't recall anything else. Oh, there was an approval of the, I gotta find it, job description. There you go. I was looking for that word. I was trying to find it. There was an approval for that job description as well for the assistant animal control person. So hopefully we'll get somebody in there for that position soon here.
Okay.
A few items last night.
Question or comment?
Yeah.
do they really think that in increasing those fees is gonna help? Because in my mind, if you increase my fees and I have 2 dogs, I'm only gonna have 1 I'm gonna report. I think you're kinda, I don't know how that's gonna help.
Well, we have to do something. We can't continue to run a deficit. So, and it wasn't, I don't think it was, we were just trying to get leveled with the other surrounding counties as well. That was the other piece of it. So I think it was a good decision, but we'll decide on that on Thursday.
So if they have to take them to the vet, don't they automatically have to do that?
Yeah, you get notified and all that. And also the rates for the animal or dogs run loose or whatever. So that's probably gonna be an issue. So trying to recoup some of those costs, close the budget.
Yeah, I
So,
think my neighbor's got a couple dogs in,
That came up.
yeah, we did talk about that. But, so, if it happens, I've had my dog get loose. Just,
Well,
he
he should have
he
never
was
had,
bored or something.
he
I
should
don't
have
know.
never had 4 dogs to begin with. He can
Sure.
barely take care of himself. So,
Oh, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
whole,
So-
anyway, that's fine.
So it was a good meeting last night.
Yeah, like you mentioned about the running dogs and, now you got stray cats and possums and raccoons and everything else.
And while you're speaking about that, one of the code items that we're looking at is for that instance of, I would say, wild animals getting on the properties and not being taken care of or getting removed, things like that. Also property that's maybe not taken care of or something, so that's one of the code things we're looking
Another on my street, you got possums, like, getting in garbage cans.
at. Sure,
Well, I gotta put a brick on top of it to keep,
Right.
keep them out.
this would be like if there's a house or a building or something that they're getting in and the owner knows they're there and it's a nuisance for the whole area, they need to do something. So we gotta coordinate between the zoning and health department and get that resolved.
I would say something more on
With some
camera.
gaps.
The city of Freeport has their own animal control. Sorry. Better be in your- You've been pretty busy.
Is it still Bill?
I don't know who that is.
They would be glad to give it to the county though,
Oh, I bet, yeah.
but we're not taking it.
We don't want it.
No.
We got enough of our own, so.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, public comments?
I just, to follow up on, planning and development a little bit with highway. Pearl City Elevator and Atkins Energy is going to move forward with a truck stop on the corner of West Galena Road, I believe it is, or Stagecoach Trail and Wagner Road. It's going to be managed by Ross Viehmeyer and his company. It was a little touch and go here for a little bit in the last couple of weeks because the county has to issue a permit allowing for this construction because Galena Road or Stagecoach Road is a county road. Wagner, believe it or not, is a Village of Lena road.
That piece of it is,
Yeah.
yeah. That's that way.
I talked to Ross Viehmeyer yesterday, actually, and as of yesterday, the county was not going to issue a permit for construction without Pearl City Elevator and Atkins Energy resurfacing West Galena Road from Highway 20 north to just past, real close to the railroad tracks. We bypassed that. That road is already on the county's schedule to be resurfaced in 2027. The permit is going to be issued. So that is a good thing.
Yeah.
There's already roughly about 1,100 trucks a week that use that little stretch of highway going into Atkins Energy. So this is really not going to increase truck traffic to the degree that we have to move up construction by 3 years. So that's a good thing. This is good development that's gonna go into place. And Atkins Energy is actually in 2024 going to be back on the real estate tax rolls, which will bring revenue to the county.
Okay.
Which some of those funds, if the board decides, can allocate towards roads.
Yeah.
Funding sources, so.
Thank you, I forgot that one.
Yeah, this all happened after planning and development and right before public Public Works, so we can have a lot of conversation during the committee meetings.
And I would comment on that road that they're questioning as one of those 1,100 trucks a day traveling that piece of road. That piece of road is still in pretty decent shape
it's not bad.
for what they've done to it.
You're right, and I just happened to drive on it on Wednesday, leaving Lena to go to Freeport. Didn't notice any issues, I wasn't looking, but you're right, we as the county were getting a little overzealous on what we wanted. They were really improving that stretch and trying to get the developer to pay for it, so.
But didn't Atkins and Pearl State Elevator do something with that road when they put their facilities in there?
I don't know, it's
I think-
possible,
I think they did.
it's
Yeah, it's a
possible.
very solid
That makes
road.
sense.
I think we'll get more truck traffic coming off 20 to pulling in for fuel and things. So there'll be a
Maybe,
little more
yeah,
traffic,
I had a
but-
long conversation with Ross about why people would be using, and the premise of the discussion was, is there really going to be much more truck traffic? Because you have to then bypass Winnebago to get
Right.
fuel,
Or stock.
or Stockton.
Right.
So why are they gonna stop there? And Ross said, the whole point of this truck stop is for Atkins Energy and Pearl City Elevator to fuel their own trucks, eventually have a truck wash where they have to wash them. That's the point of it, and also get residual off of
Yeah, you're
washing,
gonna pick up.
A little bit more, I don't think it'll be
Yeah.
bad.
not to,
Because like you
Delay
said,
the
though, there really
project.
isn't anything between Winnebago and Stockton along that.
Right
stretch.
now.
Yeah, so that's.
They'll get some.
it's a good thing, yeah,
project,
it's a good thing. I'm glad the project is moving forward and government didn't get in the way like it was trying to.
Yeah, we didn't have to try to work some money out, so,
Okay, let's see, no public comment. Before you adjourn, I would just like to say thank you for making the effort to get here today. I thought twice about it this morning, 3 times, and then Nicole texted me, and I'm just like, and my son's birthday is on Tuesday too, and so I was really wanting to avoid a meet on Tuesday. I appreciate you guys making the effort to get here, thank you.
It's Larry's
So
birthday
moved.
today.
We have an adjournment to move, and, second, Dan Baker seconds, all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's go. Thank you all very much.
Short and sweet.
I do need to chat with you for 2 seconds.